Hey guys, Al here, Vitalize Seed. Hope everybody's having a good day. One of the things I wanted to discuss today is we're looking at a lot of soil samples and people are getting excited. They're looking at their fall cover crop, carbon load coming in, and really trying to give the best advice we possibly can to set up the grower for success, not only this planting season, but in the future. And I wanted to kind of explain that, here at Vitalize Seed, we don't just look at a soil test and say, okay, put down nitrogen at X number of units per acre for this year's yield. That's beneficial information, and oftentimes you can get that recommendation from a soil lab, at least with relatively good accuracy based on your soil test results. But what we're looking to do for food plotters and for gardeners and smaller scale farmers that we're working with, and even some of the larger scale farmers that we've helped review soil tests, is we want to make sure that we're making decisions that are going to benefit that mid to long term chemical soil structure, and then also that we're implementing a system like the Vitalize 1-2 system that's going to amp up the biology in that soil. So that's really where our focus is. So that's why we look at pH, and you hear us talk about base saturations, and you hear us talk about the Vitalize micros. You hear us talking about fish fertilizer plus humics. Those are things that are going to be beneficial. Well, the fish fertilizer plus humics is going to be something that's going to be somewhat of a yield mover, right? It has NPK in there in organic form. It's going to stimulate biology. That's going to help nutrient cycling so that next planting can uptake those nutrients, which is really critical because we want biology, nutrient cycling, right, to break down or forms of nutrients that are inorganic, bring them into inorganic forms so that plants can assimilate them. And we can do that through things like fish fertilizer plus humics that we offer. But like things like our Vitalize micros, right? I tell people it's a fantastic product and we want to raise those levels or raise the bank, right? We're trying to put money in the bank. Well, it's the same idea. We're trying to raise the bank of the soil, of what it's holding in those micronutrients to make sure we're filling that lowest hole in the bucket. Now we're also offering that with, our humics in there as well. Again, to aid in soil conditioning and microbial stimulation for maximizing that biological system. And then of course you couple that with the 1-2 system, and it really jumpstarts your biology in the soil. I would not blindly recommend putting down your micronutrients. That is a product that we recommend about 25 pounds to the acre at max. 45 to 50 pounds to the acre based on a soil test. So that's number one. You also want to make sure that you're broadcasting that on top. You don't want micronutrients of any kind directly in contact with root structure. So those are some things to think about. Also the type of lime that you're sourcing. So we like to recommend, if you need high mag or high cal, that you understand how and why those are important. So again, we can maximize that soil structure. So all in all, I want to highlight again, what I'm trying to touch on here is that not every adjustment or amendment is strictly a yield driver. These things that are being done are going to help risk mitigation or mitigate risk, I guess I should say, in the long term. In the case of a drought, it's going to help with better water infiltration. It's going to help with better microbial movement because your chemical structure is balanced. It's going to help with better nutrient availability when your pH is adjusted, assuming that the nutrients are in the soil. That's another thing we have to keep an eye on and make sure that those levels are there in there, or we can achieve them based on the CEC of the soil and such. So not every single decision is necessarily a right now, here's the yield driver, but that's okay, because we're looking for mid to long-term structure of the soil and maximizing biological activity with the 1-2 system. If you guys like this stuff, please check us out at vitalizeseed.com. We sure do appreciate all the orders, comments, likes, shares, and everything else. We really, really do appreciate y'all, and it really means a lot to us. So if you like this, please share, subscribe, and follow along at vitalizeseed.com.